Welcome to Clash Corner, your daily dose of chaos.
I came home early and caught my wife in the worst way possible. I came back from a work trip early and discovered my wife was having an affair. The way I found out has left me completely shaken. I'm not claiming to be perfect, but I've always been confident in that area of my life. What I saw on my wife's phone the day I returned home early completely destroyed me. I had been away for a week, and my last client appointment got cancelled. I was planning to tell my wife I'd be home a day early, but I decided to surprise her instead. We had been struggling in our marriage. My job kept me traveling constantly, and she's a stay-at-home mom. I always tried my best to be an attentive father and husband when I was home. On those days when I'd return after working 10 days straight, I'd walk through the door and immediately jump into family life. Yet no matter what I did, my wife said she felt neglected and that being a stay-at-home mom was miserable. We talked about her returning to work, but she hated that idea too. Our intimate life had taken a serious hit. She had always been more focused on her own satisfaction, which I understood going into the marriage. She was content with her own experience and often left me feeling unfulfilled, over and over again. Eventually, it reached a point where I was the one feeling neglected, and it had been that way for years. All of this led to me stepping off a plane, getting into my truck, and going to buy her favorite meal from her favorite restaurant to do something nice. I was determined to reset our relationship and show my wife how much I loved her. As I walked into my house, I immediately knew something was wrong. I couldn't hear my kids. For the first time in forever, the house was completely silent. I walked back to our bedroom and opened the door to find my wife facing away from me, lying in bed with her feet in the air. When she turned around to look at me, she immediately started to panic. I saw she was texting someone a photo of herself wearing the lingerie I had bought her. I immediately dropped the flowers and demanded she show me who she was texting. She tried to argue and even begged and pleaded, but eventually she unlocked her phone and handed it to me. She knew she was caught. After seeing all the photos, reading the messages, and seeing the way she talked to him, I just felt dead inside. She had written things I wish I could forget. One message said she wanted him to be as close to her as possible while they were intimate. That phrase alone had me reeling. But what made it worse was discovering that the other man was physically very different from me in an unexpected way. It was almost absurd, except I was looking at the person my wife had chosen over me. My life is in pieces and I have no idea how to recover. I haven't spoken to anyone about this, and I don't know how I'll ever move past it. It's been about 6 months. She insists she loves me, but I'm leaving. The only problem I have is figuring out how to ever come back from being humiliated in such a devastating way. How do you move on from something like this?
Ready for more? Here comes Clash number 2.
I called off my arranged marriage when he told me what he expected. I was about to marry someone in an arranged marriage when I asked him one simple question, and his answer made me cancel everything. I was in an arranged marriage situation, the only socially accepted way to find a partner in my country. A guy asked for my hand, and honestly, I was so starved for connection and tired of the pressure every time I secretly tried using dating apps that I said yes almost immediately. He met my family, they approved, and his family accepted me too. We were close to getting married when something kept nagging at me. I finally asked him what he expected from me as a wife. He said he wanted me to cook, clean, take care of future kids, and also work to provide financially. I was shocked. I thought if I was doing all the housework and childcare alone, at least he would handle the financial side. So I asked if he'd be willing to help with cooking, cleaning, and future childcare since he expected me to work too. He reacted like I had insulted him. He said, "I'm the man. How dare you? If I'm going to cook and clean, then I might as well stay a bachelor. What would I need a wife for?" He told me I was brainwashed by Western ideas and feminism for even thinking a man should share household duties. He even brought up his mother, saying, "Well, my mom did all of this. Worked, cooked, cleaned, took care of us with zero help from a babysitter or maid, and never complained or had the nerve to ask my dad to cook or clean or change diapers." He insisted this is normal now in our country, That women must work and provide while also doing all the housework and childcare because that's supposedly our job. I said no and cancelled the marriage plans. But this whole situation and what he said still makes my blood boil. Did I do the right thing, or should I have tried to work it out?
The chaos doesn't stop. Clash number 3.
I've been accidentally telling my students something very different. I just found out that for years, I've been telling my college students that I love to hook up, and encouraging them to do the same. I'm a professor at a university, and whenever I do icebreakers with my classes and ask about favorite hobbies or activities, I talk about mine and include that I love to watch Netflix and relax. And when students talk about how stressed they are, I tell them that while it's important to study, it's also important to take time to relax and recharge, so I hope they're able to do something for themselves soon, like watch Netflix and relax. I thought the phrase literally meant to watch Netflix and relax, which, as a mother to 2 kids, a 4-year-old and an infant, is such a treat when you have little ones constantly requiring your attention. Have I been living under a rock? I mean, I'm not that old, but in my defense, I've been saying that I love to watch Netflix and relax for years and no one has ever said a word to me. Not my husband, not my colleagues, not my students. But my husband and I clearly don't get out much, so I think he's as oblivious as I am. I'm the youngest faculty member in my department, so if I wasn't aware, then my colleagues probably aren't aware either. And if I were my student, I wouldn't clarify to my professor that when they say one of their favorite activities is to watch Netflix and relax, they're suggesting they love to be intimate. Now I'm terrified I'm going to be reported for harassment because I guess I've been inadvertently telling my students I love to hook up and have been encouraging them to hook up, too. For those wondering how I didn't know, I didn't date much and also didn't use dating apps. I met my husband in grade school, began dating him in high school, dated him throughout college and graduate school, and got married to him 10 years ago. In college I lived at home and worked 2 jobs, so I didn't have time to go out and party or actually do anything social. Rather, if I had some free time, I really enjoyed actually watching Netflix and relaxing. The reason I found out is because I visited my husband for lunch at his work and struck up a conversation with 2 of his coworkers. I'm currently on maternity leave and mentioned to his coworkers that I can't wait for my infant to be older so I can watch Netflix and relax again instead of having to feed and change diapers. One coworker stopped me with a shocked look on his face and said he was surprised I'd be that open about wanting to watch Netflix and relax. When I was confused, he elaborated and opened my eyes. I didn't believe him until the other coworker said, "Oh, he's right. Even I know what that means." Would you have said something if you were one of my students?
Another clash is on the way. Here's number 4.
I think I ruined my relationship by drawing a hard line. I think I nuked my relationship with my boyfriend by drawing a hard line. My boyfriend and I have been together for nearly 2 years, living together for 1. He had purchased his house prior to us dating, and I was renting an apartment, so it made sense for me to move into his house. He continued to pay the mortgage and I took on all of the usage bills, all of the utilities and annual maintenance, as well as the grocery shopping, and we felt that it was a fair split. As our anniversary is coming up, we've been talking about our future timelines and where we see our relationship progressing. We're on the same page with all the big ideas. We know we want to marry each other and start a family following that. But to be in a position to start a family, the house is going to need a lot of renovations, and we've always thrown around the idea that the cost of renovations would be my buy-in, so to say, on the house. From our estimates, everything we would want to do would be around $100,000 at the low end. We even agreed that we could draw up some kind of agreement to protect both of our interests financially. As it's gotten closer to reality, reaching out to contractors and banks, I've felt more and more unsettled about the situation. I feel confident in our relationship, but foolish to be making an investment in a boyfriend's asset. I told him that I would like to be engaged before starting this process, so I feel like he's making a commitment to me as much as I am. We've talked about being engaged prior to this, but he said adding this element makes it feel very transactional and takes away the romance and sparkle of it all. I didn't tell him I wanted to be engaged by a specific date or anything like that, just that if this renovation is what we wanted to pursue, this is the action I'd like to take beforehand. He seemed upset by my statement, and I feel like I really have taken some of the romance and surprise out of the idea of a proposal or being engaged. The morning after this conversation was cold and tense, and I can't help but feel like I've done irreparable damage, but I don't feel wrong in making the request. Am I being reasonable? Is this recoverable? Was I wrong to ask for this?
Chaos overload. Let's wrap up this final clash.
Teacher gave my daughter's clothes to another student. My daughter started school last week, and when I picked her up, I saw another kid wearing her shirt. My daughter started school last Wednesday, and the teacher asked us to send pull-ups, wipes, and a change of clothes for her. I sent quite a few pull-ups and a brand new pack of wipes, and an outfit as requested. Only the bottoms for her outfit came back, and I saw another student from her class wearing her shirt when I went to pick her up. Now, I don't mind if the teacher needs to use some of my daughter's pull-ups for the other kids, or even some of her wipes. I'll send extra of those things if needed because I understand what it's like to be the parent that can't provide that. However, when it comes to her clothes, I'm not okay with sharing. For starters, if they get sent home on a kid like the shirt did, then there's a chance that the school won't get it back, and clothes are really expensive and I can't afford to replace them like that. It all pretty much boils down to the fact that my daughter doesn't really have that many clothes to begin with, so I can't really afford for them to get ruined or for them not to get sent back. So I'm just curious if it would make me a jerk if I talk to her teacher the next day that she goes to school and tell her that I'm not comfortable with her using her clothes for other children. Would you say something, or just let it go?
That was today's chaos. See you at the next clash. Don't just watch the clash, join the corner. Subscribe now.